Right guys, welcome to Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Mickey here. So today I'm going to cover bean tin cookers. Okay, it's an old method, it's been used many times, it's great for urban survival, and I'm going to get people coming back to me and saying use stick burners and all the rest of it. Now this is an improvised cooker and I'm going to try and cover as many different methods as possible. Put it in your toolkit, carry it with you as knowledge, you never know when you're going to need it. Okay, so anyhow, a caveat to this video today, and I must let you know I have two large fire extinguishers sitting at the wings. I have one which is foam and one which is powder, ready to go. I also have 40 litres of water, which at the end of the day, if this goes wrong, sets fire to the room, I can put it out. So be safe, be cautious, practice your methods in a safe and sensible manner, and then carry them out into the wilds with you. You never know when you're going to need them. Okay, and this is just one method, and I'm going to try lots of different techniques. We're going to try methylated spirits. That's going to stand in for petrol for us. We're going to use paraffin in the place of diesel, but the two will work pretty much equally. We're going to try a bit of cooking oil, we're going to try a bit of aftershave, and we're going to try several different mediums for our cooker. So hopefully you'll enjoy this video, learn by my mistakes and my efforts, and yeah, give it a go yourself. This is Mickey, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. Enjoy the video. Mickey out. Okay guys, so you're in your urban survival situation, or it could be or pretty much anywhere, and you're stuck. You're going to improvise some sort of cooker. You need to boil water, you maybe need to melt snow. I'll give you a scenario. It could be a full crash landing with an aircraft that hasn't ignited. Well, you're going to have a huge supply of avgas with any luck, and avgas very similar to diesel and paraffin in the way it burns, so you can use that. And you may find spirits that are available, okay, whether it be in the form of aftershave in people's luggage and so forth. If you can find a small metal container, we're going to go with a little meat tin here. It's 240 gram meat tin. We're going to improvise a cooker out of that, and then we're going to boil some water on it just to show that the method does work. So ideally you want to find cardboard. Cardboard is one of those things everywhere in the world. You have to excuse my tin, it's a little bit damp where I've cleaned it. So there you have the tin. Come down about 1/3 of the way down the tin and mark. Okay, now what you want to do, you want to cut your cardboard, and you want to cut enough cardboard that when you roll it up it's going to pack the tin fairly tight. And you want to try and keep it as close as possible to even. Three strips of that will probably do what I need. Don't throw away that, you might need it later. Okay, so you take the 3 strips of cardboard and you roll them. You roll them up as tight as you can. And you place them in your tin. Now, as you can see in my tin, I've got some gaps. Didn't really want gaps, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pack those gaps out with cardboard. And ideally you want the tin filled as much as possible. Oh, squashing a bit of cardboard down. But you don't need to pack it mega tight. I think that's going to do it. So you can see what I've got there, and it's in there reasonably well. If I turn it upside down, it's not going to tip out. So excuse me whilst I get my tray. I'm going to use this tray for safety, and do excuse me whilst that helicopter goes over. We have a flight of Apaches going over, 4 of them, probably flying out from RFOdium, just probably a training flight. Take care, be safe guys, let them disappear into the distance. It's one of the problems with being where I am. So they're disappearing. Thank you very much to the Army Air Corps. So what I'm going to use a bit of Brute. It's an aftershave, so all aftershaves are going to be an alcohol base. So you tip in your aftershave, give it a good swirl, let it soak into your cardboard. And that's quite essential. You want it to soak into the cardboard, be absorbed by the cardboard. And bear in mind it's a spirit. The next thing I'm going to do, and you can improvise this out of anything you can find, but I've got 4 nails, just ordinary nails. You could use wire. In fact, it's going to be a pain because I have to use 3 nails because I've got one of a different length. In fact, actually it won't be too much of a problem. So I'm going to push the nails down, get them all roughly the same height, okay, and that's pretty much my cooker. So let's see how it lights. Let's first of all just try a ferro rod, see if we can get it going with a ferrocerium rod. And there, 2 strikes, it's lit. Okay, who'd have thunk it? Okie doke. So what happens is the cardboard holds the alcohol in the aftershave and it acts as a wick. So what you're actually doing is you're not burning that much of the cardboard, you're actually burning the vapour that's coming off. And just to see how we go, I'm going to take my brew pot and I'm going to throw in about 400 mils of water, and we're going to place it on top of my improvised cooker and we're going to let that heat up. Now either the cooker's going to go out before the water's boiling or the water's going to boil and I have to put the cooker out, but let's find out which one it's going to be. And there we have it guys, we're coming up to a boil as you can all see. So the water is coming up to a boil and the stopwatch is 13 minutes 50, so about 14 minutes. Okay, so it's not a fast boil, about 14 minutes. Now what I have noticed is if I lift this a fraction I gain more heat. It'll allow more oxygen in, so it'll be quicker. So in actual fact that wanted to be a little bit higher off of my stove. Okay, I'm going to move that back a bit because you're not getting the best view there. Yes, and you can hear it bubbling away. So if I'd lifted that up I'd have got slightly better heat on the bottom of the pan, so it would have probably boiled faster, and it's still boiling away quite happily in there. So yes, you could sterilise water on that, you could provide a hot drink, you could probably cook a simple stew, soup, whatever you've got in that. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to take that off the heat and I'm going to leave that running, and I'm going to leave the stopwatch running and see how long we get burn wise off of that. We'll come back to that in a bit. So we're at 30 minutes burning, and as you can see the flame is now starting to reduce in height. It's starting to go orange and it's starting to burn the cardboard, which means that our vapour agent has finished off and our wicking is stopping. So I'm going to stop this here so I don't use up all the cardboard and let that cool down, and then go over to my next system. And it blew out quite well. So what we'll do now, just so that we can start afresh, that's an interesting thing, one of those nails has become magnetised. Two of the nails have become magnetised. That's worth knowing. So the heat has magnetised the nail, and you can improvise a compass from there. Yeah, that would improvise a compass for us. So I'm going to shut that down, let that cool down, and then we'll come back to another system. Start a bit of oxygen and let it cool. So we've allowed that to cool, and I'm going to use exactly the same cardboard. As you see, it's out, the can's cold, now it's cooled down. So for this experiment, what I'm going to try is something a little bit different. I'm actually going to try a cupful of diesel, okay, in there, and it literally is an egg cup full of diesel. So what we're going to do is tip that over our cardboard. Now bear in mind this is obviously an oil base. I'm hoping for a better burn, possibly more time, possibly more heat. So I'm going to tip that in, give that a swirl round, allow the cardboard to absorb that. I'm going to place my nails in, and learning from last time, I'm going to give a little bit more height to my nails. We're going to go with exactly the same amount of water. We're very careful measuring that out. So we're looking at about 400 mils of water. Now, let's see if this will strike. Okay. Oh, it has. I'm impressed with that. So again, you can light that using your ferro rod, a match, or whatever you need. It's going to be a very dirty burn, so I'm going to place that on top, open some windows, and start the stopwatch. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this at home. It is a dirty system. You won't want to do it indoors, but outdoors, or if you had a space where you could get yourself out into clean air, this would work. It's a polluting system, I know that, but if it was a survival situation, you're looking at using whatever means you can. What I would do with this is I'll bring the water to a boil, but I won't run it to its full extent, obviously because of the smoke. You can hear the extractor running in the background. I do apologise for the noise from that. But again, as you can understand, doing this in a controlled environment indoors, I've got to be very, very careful. Well, this is very interesting. This is very interesting. So, the diesel's starting to die off now. The water has come to a simmer, but the diesel's starting to die off, and we've used about the same amount of aftershave and diesel. Now, diesel obviously burns cooler in this case, or this is what I reckon, than the spirit, which is, I suppose, is quite obvious. One's an oil, one's going to be burning off a vapour, so it's probably going to create more heat. Now, the diesel hasn't burnt as long, and it hasn't burnt as hot. We are at, let me check with the stopwatch, we are at 15 minutes now, and yeah, I'm going to pretty much cool this one. Yeah, pretty much cool this one. The diesel's burnt off pretty much, and we're starting to burn the cardboard on the top. and so we'll call that one. So the diesel didn't bring the water to a boil. If you'd used more diesel in there, yeah, I reckon it would have done. Obviously doing it in this sort of environment is quite tricky. Yeah, that was, diesel's a bit of a fail, but again, I got this method from reading up on the First World War, the trenches, and I was looking at how the guys would improvise lights, cookers and heaters using tins and quite often gun oil as their fuel. So it would be the gun oil as the fuel, and they would warm drinks, heat dugouts, and keep them going using those methods. Hence, this is why I've learnt it. If it worked for them in atrocious conditions, it will work for you. So what we're going to do, we're going to vary our medium from cardboard, and we're going to use exactly the same materials again. No, in fact, we're going to vary the materials slightly, our fuel sources, and see how that goes. And we'll do a couple more burns, a couple more experiments, and see how it works out. So for this experiment, we're going to vary our medium, and we're going to stay a bit more true to what they were using during the First World War. So while doing my research, common resources were things like sand and soil, which they would dry out. So we're going to part fill this with sand. And from what I read, quite often it was actually petrol that they used as a fuel source, because early petrol vehicles were coming in. But another thing they had was paraffin for their paraffin lamps, and they also had methylated spirits, believe it or not. So what we're going to do, we're going to use methylated spirits on this one, which will give me a slightly cleaner burn. Let me turn that extractor off. We use methylated spirits, and we're going to boil exactly the same amount of water. And again, we're not going to modify the tin in any way. You can modify the tins, you can cut holes in them so that they get more air in and that, but I'm going with the most basic method. What I have discovered over the years is trying to cut holes in the tops of the tins. You deform the tin, it can be a pain. I will do one where I use a bushcraft knife and show you how to do it. So it sounds a little bit less resistant than the cardboard. So what we're going to do, we're going to use 3 nails. Use 3 nails of equal heights to space them out equally. Push them back so that they're reasonable as a support. And I'm going to use an amount of methylated spirits, which will pour into the centre, and we will see again, will that light off of a strike? So if it'll light off a ferro rod, it'll light off of almost anything, and that's lit. That has lit, and obviously being methylated spirits, it burns with a very clear flame. Let's try turning out my background light, see if that helps. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that has a flame going there. And I'm going to place our water carefully, because the nails aren't going to support as well. In fact, I don't think they're going to support at all. That was going to fall over. So again, here we go. I'm not going to take this out of the video. I'm going to leave it in. So let's try angling our nails a bit more. No, that's not going to work, is it? So again, there we go. In sand we have one of the difficulties is our pot stand isn't as efficient, but we have managed to get it on there. I'm going to restart the stopwatch and we'll see how long that takes. So here we are, we're coming to a boil, and we're coming to a boil on the methylated spirits and sand. I'm going to pull that back to there for you, and that's at 6 minutes and just coming up to 30 seconds. Hopefully you can see that. We'll take that off of there and we'll let that run until it goes out, and we'll see how long that takes to burn off. Now, in all honesty to you guys, and for those of you that are sharp-eyed, yes, I've had to put a bit more sand in, and I had to pack it down tight round the nails, and then that seemed to hold them in place. I'm just going to try a little experiment now. I'm just wondering, because now this sand's drying off on the top, am I going to increase the flame by stirring it? Yes, I am. So that's allowing more meths to get to the surface. So again, you can increase your flame rate by very carefully stirring the sand, which is going to bring more meths to the surface, or more spirit to the surface, and therefore increase your burn time. The sand dries out very quickly. Nice thing with this over the cardboard is it's slightly more weighty, so that holds in place. Although I do think the cardboard actually gave a better flame and seemed to burn quite well. The sand, yeah, I can, as you can see, it's burning down quite quickly now. So the sand gets very, very, very hot, and in so doing you get a very fast initial burn, as I did there. Boiled the water very quickly, however it does tend to go through the material a little bit quicker. So there's pros and cons to it all, but again, if you had nothing else, that's what you could go to. You could substitute it with sawdust, you could substitute it with toilet paper, you could substitute it with cotton wool. Any one of those items would work as a wicking agent. Basically experiment with it yourself, guys, and see which one you prefer, which one works best for you. I'm going to blow that out now and allow things to cool down, and then I'm going to try another variation on the tin. In actual fact, I'm not going to blow it out because I'll blow burning sand everywhere. So let's pull the nails out. And put it out sensibly and carefully. So we'll just snuff that, and that allows that to go out. On the top of the tin, very carefully. I'm going to cut that. Already hear some of you crying, abusing my Mora, but again, in a survival situation, you do what you have to do. Alright, so let's have a look at this. Now, let's take that, let's get my leather. And obviously, guys, be very careful if you're going to try this. This This metal is brutally sharp. It will slice you in no time at all, and tin can cuts are very nasty. As anybody that's used old-fashioned tin openers will remember. Right, so what I'm doing, I'm folding all that metal back on itself. Two reasons for that. One, it adds strength. Two, it's keeping the sharp edges out the way as best I can. And what I've done is I've jury-rigged the pot stand there. I'm going to take my hot stand and transfer my hot stand into this stove. And I'm going to bring that sand up level with my openings. And again, this is a time, it's a practice, it's a trial and error thing. So tap that down there. So that's a nice weight in there. Now, this is a bit of trial and error because it was something somebody suggested to me, and I've yet to try it out, so we'll see how this goes. But apparently, make a small hole in the centre, take any vegetable or any cooking oil or any light oil and tip that into your sand and allow that to sink in. Take a small amount of any spirit, so this could be aftershave, it could be methylated spirits, it could be petrol. And again, that's only a small amount. Place that on there and ignite it. Okay, so now what we have is a stove with a pot stand. So I'm now going to go and get some fresh water in the pot whilst you watch that start off. So get some cold water. So it is working, it is building a little bit of heat. I'm not impressed with the cooking oil. I don't think that works particularly well. I think you'd have to experiment with it. It's probably quantities and level. I can tell by looking at it I'm not getting enough oxygen flow in there. If I breathe on it slightly, I get a better burn, so it's not getting enough air. So maybe bigger holes, maybe less sand. but it would be experimentation to try it out and find out. But again, that's a simple stove. It would work with time, and it seems to be as it's getting hotter, it works a little bit more efficiently. I'll bring the camera down, try and give you a look at it. Do excuse the neighbour who seems to be cutting lumps off his exhaust. I have no idea why. He keeps firing his car up in 5 minutes, giving it a rev. No, I'm not impressed with that. I'm not going to run with that. I'd go back to what I was using before. This will probably work as a reasonable heat source. The combination of the cooking oil and meths, no, I'm not impressed. Maybe a different cooking oil, maybe using an engine oil, maybe using a mineral oil. I don't know, maybe I've got too much sand in there, maybe even that's the wrong medium, maybe it'd work better with cardboard or something else. But that's for another day, that's for more experimentation at another time. It's just to give you ideas, guys. Experiment, try it yourself, you know. Go out there and see what works for you. Okay, so I've shown you a quick emergency stove and heat source. That burns slowly. It's not giving off as much heat, but again, if I drop the sand level down, put some air holes around it, I'd probably get a better flame. But again, trial and error, experimentation, you've got to give it a go. There's quite a depth of sand in there on this one, as opposed to the other one I did, which was a shorter can. That may even be part of it. So guys, trial and error, try these things out for yourself. Blows up quite nicely, and see how it goes. You're not going to know if you don't try. The only thing I will say with having a can like this with the holes there, obviously you can't snuff it, which, yeah, depends on your situation. It could be a pain in the butt, whatnot. And I will say to you, cooking oil smells absolutely foul. And that was the tin that I tried to punch open first time round, and as you see it compressed, pain in the arse. So trying to cut slots in tins is quite fiddling, quite difficult. Anyhow, we'll cut back to my face in a second, and I'll give you an after action report, and we'll see how that goes. And that will be my video this week. Right guys, Mickey here, Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. So that was just a quick one on improvised cookers and heat sources. Okay, so spirits over oils, they tend to be, yeah, they burn faster, they burn hotter, and they burn cleaner. Oils, yes, you can use oils, but they tend to burn slower. They last a little bit longer, I suppose, but they're dirty. Okay, and again, you know, try not to pollute the environment as best we can. But again, that was to give you an idea of some of the things that you could bodge together in an emergency. And the name of the game in an emergency is speed and efficiency. Hence, I've not gone into details about making tubes and drawing air in from there and all the rest of it. It was you know, it's an emergency crisis situation. This is what we could improvise. Over days in that situation, you could improve on the system. However, initially, you need that heat. Okay, for whether it's sterilising water, whether it's warming up the environment you're in, you need that heat. Don't fanny about, just get into it, get the heat done. Once you're back into a level ground, i.e. you're in a self-sustaining situation, you can improve on it. Okay, so okay, that's the way to think about it, or that's the way I think about it. Anyhow, what I would like to say from the bottom of my heart is a major thank you. Okay, as with any situation in life, sometimes we get a bit of a slap around the face and it knocks us. Now, I'm quite confident and happy, put me in any situation in the world, that I will deal with it, manage it and get through it. There are things in this world that I know nothing about. Computers, YouTube, so forth. I'm bimbling my way through this, and I had a knock on Sunday night, and I really, it knocked my pride, knocked my confidence. But thanks to you guys, with all the messages of support I got, and I'm not going to name you all, but you all know who you are, those that sent me a message, every single one of you, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. This channel's going to keep going, okay? We're going to push it on. We're going to do the live stream still, but I will say to you, it might not necessarily be every Sunday, but I will aim at Sundays, and you will get notifications, keeping an eye open from out there. I've got to try and give myself a bit of time to do things. I keep coming back to the same thing. I want to do quality over quantity. I would rather do less videos and make them more interesting and more in depth and more fun than do the quantity. But feed me back, let me know, okay? At any time you can contact me, yeah, give me information, or you can ask me questions, or you can even just say hi, okay? My email's always on the wall behind me. It's druidmitch@gmail.com, or message me on the YouTube, okay? But thank you very much, guys, for your support, and if I can ever return it to any one of you, yeah, you only never need to ask. Anyhow, this is Mick. It's been Hampshire Outdoors and Survival. That's been my little video for this week. Just improvised stoves. If I get a chance to get out this week, I will do. However, life's busy. Yeah, love those you do. Forgive those you don't. Peace and light be upon you all. And again, thank you for all the support. It is appreciated. All right. Watch this space. We're going places. All right. Yeah.